Hi, Damiano. Congratulations on winning the Audience Choice Award for The Last Pillar. This recognition is especially meaningful because it reflects the direct response and emotional connection of the audience.
Thank you. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for having me. Winning the Audience Choice Award is a huge honor, and knowing that The Last Pillar created such a deep emotional connection with the audience means so much to me. I want to deeply thank the LAAIMPA Film Festival for giving me this wonderful opportunity to participate and be part of this event. A special, uh, a special thank you also goes to the entire community and to everyone who watched and voted for my film.
The last pillar introduces a world held together by enormous structures, chains, and ancient system of control. How did you develop the mythology and visual rules of this universe?
To develop the universe of the last pillar, the very first spark was the desire to create a strong visual and dimensional contrast. I wanted to play with proportions between the characters and the surrounding environment, defining the laws of physics. That's why I envisioned a desolate world defined by a dark and gloomy atmosphere, dominated by colossal monuments floating in mid-air and then held together by massive chains. I also sought a specific balance for the characters. The skeletal beings have a deliberately unsettling aesthetic, yet at the same time they carry an almost sacred aura. They look like alien creatures, but they also have something deeply human about them. And that was an intentional choice. After all, this film is a reflection of human society. The control system and the story of this world were created to send a universal message. Those giant chains and structures represent the false safety in our lives. Very often, we hold on to mental structures that we think can protect us, but in reality, they limit us. They keep us in a prison and stop us from being truly free and happy. Breaking that visual system means exactly the freedom from these chains.
At the center of the story is a difficult choice, preserving the existing order or destroying it to allow something new to emerge. What inspired you to build the film around this moral conflict?
This moral conflict stems from a deeply personal experience, something I lived firsthand. For a long time, I worked jobs that gave me financial stability, however modest, but completely consumed my days between work hours and long commutes. I never had time left to pursue my true passions, which to me are also professional goals like music and filmmaking. A few months ago, I decided to break that old balance. I gave up a large part of that security by switching to a part-time job to reclaim my time. It was a risk, but thanks to that decision, the Surreal Chronicles project was born and grew, and I was able to get back into music. The last pillar is about exactly this: the fear of destroying an established order that give us an illusion of protection and the need to find the courage to break it, to allow something new, alive and authentic to emerge.
The pillar appears to represent both stability and imprisonment. What does it symbolize for you personally?
To me, the pillar represents both things. On one end, it embodies a real and objective necessity: rent, bills, daily expenses, all the practical responsibilities we cannot escape. The structure gives you a sense of stability. It makes you feel safe. But on the other hand, that very same security becomes a prison. It chains you to a routine that day after day dims your true essence and stop you from discovering and trying new things. The pillar is that illusion of protection that we end up paying for with our personal and creative freedom.
The guardians have a haunting, almost ceremonial appearance with skeletal forms, masks, staffs, and flowing garments. How did you design them, and what role do they play beyond simply protecting the pillar?
I give the guardians the skeletal and ghostly look to represent the hollow man. They symbolize people who have been consumed by an unfulfilling routine. Their true role goes beyond simply protecting the pillar. In reality, they have become the guardians of their own routine. They defend the cage and the very rules that drained them, because now they know nothing else. They are no longer just prisoners. They have become active gears in the system that traps them.
Much of the film takes place in a desolate landscape filled with ruins, suspended structures, and heavy chains. How did you use the environment to communicate the history and emotional condition of this world without relying on lengthy exposition?
I wanted the environment to be a physical manifestation of the character's inner state, so that words wouldn't be necessary. The desolate landscape conveys the emptiness of the day routine. The ruins you see are not just ancient buildings, they represent our abandoned old dreams, the passions and the aspiration we left behind. And the heavy chains scattered across this world serve a specific purpose. They represent the daily wakes and constraints that hold those dreams down, preventing them from taking flight.
The moment when the chain breaks transforms destruction into liberation and renewal. How did you approach the pacing, the sound design, and visual escalation of this key sequence?
That moment represents the exact instant when you choose to change. Just before the break, there is a confrontation with the companions, which symbolizes the opposition and resistance you face from people around you when you make a drastic decision. Immediately after the strike, I intentionally slowed down the narrative pacing. The sound design shift from intense tension to something liberating, letting the moment breathe. The breaking and dissolving of the huge chains is not shown as a violent destruction, but as a cathartic relief. The moment when that heavy weight finally collapses.
The film moves from dark, restrained imagery into intense golden light and finally toward a living green landscape. What emotional journey did you want the audience to experience through this transformation of color and atmosphere?
The initial environment is deliberately cold and constrained to reflect our lives when we are trapped in a repetitive routine. It represents a slow metaphoric shutting down of the senses. The transition toward a golden light and a vibrant green landscape symbolizes the exact moment those senses ignite again. I wanted the audience to experience this emotional shift, moving from a state of numbness to a warm, positive, and vibrant awakening, where life and passions are finally reignited.
The Last Pillar is your debut short film. What was the most challenging part of moving from individual digital artworks to a complete cinematic narrative?
The most challenging part was definitely maintaining a visual consistency between the characters and the environments. But an even greater challenge was making the scenes genuinely emotional, especially since they involve silent beings who don't speak. Working with the coldness of artificial intelligence, it took a lot of effort to infuse real emotion into those frames and ensure it truly reached the audience.
The film was created using several AI tools, including Kling, Leonardo, Wan, and Quen. How did you divide the production process between these tools while maintaining consistency across the characters, environments, and overall cinematic direction?
To keep everything consistent, I used a step-by-step process. First, I used Quen to brainstorm and write the text prompts. Then I used Leonardo I to generate the static images. This step was crucial to define the dark environments and the characters. Once I had those base images, I fed them into Kling and One for the video generation. By starting from the same Leonardo images and keeping the text prompts very consistent. I was able to guide the video tools and maintain the same cinematic look throughout the whole short film. It takes a lot of trial and error, but this structured workflow really helped me.
The world of The Last Pillar feels much larger than the story shown in this first film. Are you planning on to continue the narrative, explore what happens after the pillar is destroyed, or further develop this universe through future films?
I'm so glad you felt the vastness of this universe. Yes, the last pillar is definitely just the beginning. The extraction of the pillar represents an awakening, but the real question is what happens now that they are free, and also what happened before. The world outside those ruins is vast, wild, and full of mysteries. My brother project, Surreal Chronicles, was born exactly to explore these kinds of deep and expanding worlds. I'm absolutely planning to continue the narrative. I want to discover what the new golden landscape hides and explore if there are other pillars or ancient entities still trying to maintain control. There are many more stories to tell in this universe, and I truly can't wait to bring them to life.
Congratulations once again on this remarkable achievement. We look forward to seeing how the world of Surreal Chronicles continues to grow and where your filmmaking journey leads next.
Thank you so much for these wonderful questions and for this interview. It was a true pleasure to talk about the last pillar with all of you. Thanks again to the LAAIMPA Film Festival and to everyone who supported the film. Have a great day and see you soon.